In the small, sunny town of Key West, Florida, during the early 1930s, a man named Carl Tanzler fell deeply, obsessively, and tragically in love. But this wasn't the kind of love most people dream of. It was a love that would transcend life and death, spiraling into one of the most strange and unsettling stories ever told. Welcome to my channel. My name is Chrissy, and I typically discuss things that are strange, mysterious, and creepy. If that interests you, then please subscribe or follow me. If you enjoy this video, then please hit the like button, leave me a comment, or share this video with a friend. That really helps out a small channel like mine. Okay, now let's get back to the story of a man and his real-life corpse bride. Carl Tanzler was born in 1877 in Dresden, Germany. He lived an ordinary life, or at least it was ordinary on the surface. But Tanzler claimed that he was anything but ordinary. He often spoke of visions he'd experienced in his youth, visions of a dark-haired exotic woman whom he believed was his one true love, sent to him by fate. He would later say that these visions guided his every decision. In 1926, Tanzler immigrated to the United States and eventually found work as a radiology technician at the Marine Hospital in Key West, Florida. By now, he had styled himself as Count Karl von Kassel, a title of nobility that he may have invented himself. But it wasn't his self-proclaimed aristocracy that made him infamous. It was the moment he met Maria Elena de Hoyos in 1930. Elena was a 21-year-old Cuban-American woman with striking beauty, dark hair, deep eyes, and a captivating smile. She came to the hospital seeking treatment for tuberculosis, which in those days was often a death sentence. When Tanzler saw her, he was convinced that she was the woman from his visions. To him, she wasn't just a patient, she was destiny incarnate. Tanzler took it upon himself to treat Elena. He was not a doctor, but he showered her with experimental remedies, gifts, and undying devotion. He brought her expensive jewelry, perfumes, and even medical equipment that he purchased out of his own pocket. Tanzler professed his love to Elena repeatedly, but there's no evidence that she ever returned those feelings. By all accounts, she saw him as a kindly, if eccentric, caretaker. Despite Tanzler's efforts, tuberculosis claimed Elena's life. On October 25, 1931, her death shattered him. Tanzler convinced her family to allow him to pay for an elaborate mausoleum, which he built in Key West Cemetery. But this wasn't a mere gesture of grief. This was a way for him to keep Elena close. Tanzler visited the mausoleum every night, often singing to her lifeless body. He claimed her spirit would visit him, begging him to free her from the grave. In 1933, 2 years after her death, Tanzler acted on what he believed were her wishes. Under the cover of darkness, he crept into the cemetery and removed Elena's body from the mausoleum. He took her home with him and began a grotesque attempt to preserve her decaying corpse. Using piano wire, he bound her skeleton together. He replaced her decomposed skin with silk cloth soaked in wax and plaster. He fashioned a wig from Elena's own hair, which her mother had given him as a keepsake after her death. To maintain her form, he stuffed her body with rags and dressed her in fine clothing. Tanzler even applied perfumes and disinfectants to mask the odor of decomposition. To him, Elena wasn't a decaying corpse. She was his eternal bride. For 7 years, Tanzler lived with Elena's body in his home. He dined with her, danced with her, and even slept beside her. Neighbors began to whisper about strange behavior. Some claim they saw him dancing with a life-size doll through the windows of his home. Others reported hearing strange music and sounds late into the night. Elena's family grew suspicious, particularly her sister, Florinda. In 1940, Florinda confronted Tanzler after hearing disturbing rumors. When authorities investigated, they made a shocking discovery: the body of Elena Hoyos, grotesquely preserved, lying in Tanzler's bed. Tanzler was arrested and charged with wantonly and maliciously destroying a grave and removing a body without authorization. But the story did not end there. When news of the case broke, it captured national attention. Tanzler's obsession was both reviled and romanticized by the public. Some saw him as a twisted necrophile, while others bizarrely viewed him as a tragic lover who could not let go. Despite the shocking nature of his actions, Tanzler would never serve any prison time. The charges were eventually dropped because the statute of limitations had expired. Elena's body was returned to her family and reburied in an unmarked grave to prevent any further desecration. As for Tanzler, he lived the rest of his days in seclusion. He never married or moved on. Instead, he built a life-size effigy of Elena and lived with it until his death in 1952. When his body was found, some say he was clutching the effigy as if, even in death, he couldn't bear to be apart from the woman he called his soulmate. Carl Tanzler's story is one of obsession, delusion, and the great lengths that one man went to preserve the love he believed was destined. But was it love or was it madness? Perhaps it's a reminder of how even the most seemingly beautiful emotions, like love, can take us to the darkest of places. Thank you so much for watching. Your support really means a lot. I love being able to do my own narration as I did here, but like lots of you, I have a full-time job and I cannot devote as much time as I would like in making these videos. Not yet, anyway. Until next time, please stay safe out there, and as always, stay curious.